Jeff Durkin with We Are Change Connecticut. We're out here in New York City at the photo exhibit on Turkey, including photographs from Tim Eastman, who's here right now, and Jenna Pope. We're here with Tim Eastman right now. Tim, thanks for coming out today. And just tell us your experience, maybe go back to the beginning, what got you involved in photography, and then basically to cover these events in Turkey and other places you've been.
Okay. The way I got involved in photography was I just took a photography class kind of by accident in high school. I couldn't get into the art class that I wanted to get into, and so I took photography instead, and then I just kind of fell in love with it. Yeah, pretty simple.
So the exhibit showing a lot of your great photographs from Turkey. Tell us about that. How long were you there? Different experiences. You just kind of start from the beginning. What got you to start covering Turkey and covering the photographs and covering the protesters?
Okay. I was there for about 10 days. I was actually in England. I was planning to cover the G8 protests, and there wasn't much happening with them. It didn't seem like they were going to be very lively, and I'd been in contact with Jenna, who was already in Turkey, and it seemed like something really special was happening there, something important. So I decided to skip the G8. I made a last-minute decision and went to Turkey instead, and I'm really glad I did. It's probably one of the best decisions I ever made. Yeah, so I got there. Immediately I went to the park. There were all these people around, this spirit of togetherness. This piano music was playing. It was very peaceful, kind of joyous. It was really sort of an emotional, kind of touching scene. So yeah, I spent some time there, and a few nights later they conducted the raid on Gezi Park, the big one that cleared the park. I went to that. Well, I was asleep when it started, actually, and then I got up about an hour later and saw that it had happened. And so I rushed to the park. Jenna and I did. The park was surrounded. We had trouble getting in, finding an entrance. We finally did. Oh, we met this woman on the way in. She's American, and so as we were going towards the park, we were these police officers were yelling at us, and we were talking to them in English. Thought, I don't know, speaking English would somehow help our situation. And this woman who we just met minutes before, and so they shot this tear gas canister out of nowhere at us. And this woman starts screaming. She's like, "We're Americans! We're Americans! Don't hurt us! We're Americans!" And I was like, "Shut up!" Because it's really the wrong thing to be yelling. That's not going to help. But yeah, the gas didn't really disperse very well because of the wind. And yeah, and so then we went and saw the front of the park. Police had surrounded it. Construction equipment had been moved in. Then there were these clashes going on side streets. Jenna went to one, I went to another. There's a lot of gas flying around, people throwing things at the police shooting the gas and shooting water from the water trucks. They have these cannons on the top that shoot water at people to push them back. And it sort of went back and forth on this fairly narrow street, and as it went, it gradually pushed the protesters back, and gradually pushed the protesters back, and sort of kept them engaged, fighting the police. It kept people busy while they were being moved away from the park, and they didn't disperse or anything and try to come back. So that was a pretty interesting situation, just dodging canisters, being in the middle of gas. I had a gas mask and goggles and a helmet, so I felt pretty safe. And there was a sort of logic to the situation because it was just moving back and forth, and there were little streets you could go off into if you wanted to take a break and smoke a cigarette and take your mask off. And so I felt pretty safe, basically, as crazy as the situation was. But my pictures make it look a lot more chaotic than it actually was. Yeah, protesters built barricades. I love barricades. So, yeah, the park was surrounded by barricades. Some really cool ones. The Kurdish minority has been oppressed in Turkey, and they have a lot of experience fighting the government. They have a lot of experience building barricades, so they came up to the park and lent their knowledge, helped out as far as building the barricades and fighting the police. The park had a great atmosphere. People spirit of togetherness. people were happy, excited to be doing something they, I think, maybe hadn't felt like they were able to do before, wasn't possible, would protest against this oppressive government. It's great that, I think one great function of the protest is that it also just showed that it's possible to function to protest against the government. I think that in itself really inspired people. And that's a powerful thing to show.
What was the photographs even that are up here today, or any of the other ones you've taken from Turkey from covering it? What's the one different situation that stuck out to you in particular? What was that one photograph that kind of just that kind of stuck out in your mind from being there?
You know, I think my favorite one is there's one of the water cannon trucks is moving into this very thick cloud of tear gas. I mean, it's a pretty simple picture. But I like the light, I like the way the lights of the truck are going into the gas. I just like the picture.
Just to wrap up here quick, tell people your website or any social media things you have to follow your work, or any different events you plan on covering or anything like that to keep following your work, and just give a plug for your work.
You can follow me on Twitter at Tim_Eastman, EASTMAN. And my website is www.timothy.eastman.com.
This is, it's not about what the mainstream media is saying, it's about, this is what it's about. And I feel like, as an activist and as a photographer, I'm in a really good position to bring the truth and the real photos and the real news to people who are willing to listen to it and willing to view the photos.
Because without grassroots media, without citizen journalism, we will not be able to take back the media. We have to make the corporate media irrelevant and take things in our own hands. And I applaud your guys' efforts, and I applaud everyone who's doing similar things, because this is really the revolution right here.